Remember your school days? 45-minute lessons, bulky textbooks, hours spent sitting at a desk. This format of education existed for centuries, but today the world is changing rapidly. Welcome to the era of microlearning, a revolutionary approach where knowledge is delivered in small, concentrated portions. Instead of an hour-long lecture, a 3-minute video. Instead of a thick textbook, a vibrant infographic. Instead of a monotonous explanation, a dynamic TikTok video with a key idea. Our brains, overloaded with informational noise, find it increasingly difficult to sustain attention on one thing. The average attention span of a modern person has shrunk to 8 seconds, less than a goldfish. Traditional education finds itself in crisis not because it's bad, but because we ourselves have changed. Microlearning is not just a passing fad, but a response to the challenges of the digital age, where information must be accessible, vivid, and instantly applicable. The history of education is a history of information compression. From ancient scrolls that took hours to study, to modern TikTok lessons lasting mere seconds. This evolution is not accidental. It reflects the change in our perception and technology. In ancient times, knowledge was transmitted orally, through long sagas and songs. The advent of writing allowed information to be recorded, but books remained a rarity, accessible only to the chosen few. Medieval monks spent years copying folios, and students memorized texts for hours. Gutenberg's revolution in the 15th century made books more accessible, but did not change their format. The class lesson system, created by Jan Comenius in the 17th century, became the standard for the next 400 years. The 20th century brought radio and television, the first steps towards visualization and simplification. Educational programs were shortened to 30 minutes, and then to 15. The internet accelerated this trend. Long articles gave way to infographics, hour-long video lectures to 5-minute clips. Today, TikTok education is a logical continuation of this trajectory. We are not losing depth. We are repackaging knowledge into a format that matches the rhythm of modern life. What makes microlearning truly effective? It all starts with the right structure. An ideal micro-lesson lasts from 30 seconds to 3 minutes, enough to convey one key idea without overwhelming attention. The one concept, one micro-lesson principle is the golden rule of this format. The first 7 seconds decide everything. If you haven't captured attention, the audience is already gone. A vivid visual hook, an unexpected fact, or a provocative question, that's what makes them stay. Then comes a clear structure: problem, solution, application. No unnecessary words, only concentrated essence. Successful microlessons use a multimodal approach. Visual images, sound, text, and movement simultaneously engage different perception channels. The emotional component is another key element. Information linked to emotions is remembered 5 times better than neutral information. That's why the best educational content creators on TikTok use humor, surprise, or even slight indignation. The final component is a call to action. These phrases turn passive consumption into active learning. Unlike traditional formats, microlearning doesn't aim for exhaustive coverage of a topic. Instead, it focuses on applicability. What specifically can the learner do with the acquired knowledge right now? Opening TikTok, we see not just an entertainment platform, but a new educational landscape. 60-second videos on quantum physics, 30-second explanations of the Pythagorean theorem, 15-second life hacks for learning foreign languages. Social media has transformed into a global educational ecosystem. TikTok's algorithms play a key role in this transformation. They don't just show content, they create a personalized educational environment where everyone receives knowledge tailored to their interests and level. Show an interest in astronomy, and your feed will fill with short explanations about black holes and exoplanets. The format of content delivery on social media is characterized by a special dramaturgy. The first 2 seconds decide the fate of a video. Will it hold attention or be scrolled past? Therefore, an educator begins not with definitions, but with an intriguing question or an unexpected fact. Did you know that Napoleon was never short? Or, this math trick will save you hours of time. Such introductions make you stop and watch further. Successful educational TikTok channels use visual metaphors, vivid gestures, and musical patterns. Chemistry professor at Chemistry Instructions demonstrates reactions in real time, while historian at History in 60 uses costumed enactments. Linguist at Language Hacks creates multilingual sketches, memorable due to humor and contrast. It's important to understand, TikTok education does not replace traditional learning, but complements it. It's an entry point, a spark of interest that can ignite into a true passion for a subject. Microlessons on social media make knowledge democratic and accessible, breaking down barriers between the academic environment and everyday life. Our brain is an amazing tool, evolved over millennia to process information. But how does it react to modern, short educational formats? Neurobiology offers interesting answers. When we consume micro-content, the reward system is activated. The brain releases dopamine, creating a sense of pleasure from quickly obtaining new information. This explains why short videos cause such strong addiction. Simultaneously, working memory mechanisms are at play, which can hold only a limited number of items, from 5 to 9. Short formats perfectly match this limitation, without overloading cognitive resources. Studies show, when watching a 3-minute educational video, the information retention level reaches 80%, whereas after a 40-minute lecture, this figure drops to 20%. This phenomenon is called cognitive load. The brain simply cannot effectively process large amounts of data continuously. Microlearning creates natural pauses, allowing neural connections to strengthen. Interestingly, attention works in cycles. Approximately 10 minutes of active concentration, then a decline. Short formats fall into the first, most productive phase of this cycle. They also utilize the effect of spaced repetition. When information is presented in small portions with breaks, it is remembered better. However, there is also a downside. Constant consumption of short formats can hinder the development of the skill of prolonged concentration, necessary for solving complex problems. The brain gets used to quick switching and demands constant novelty. Clip thinking is a term that sparks heated discussions among educators. Some see it as a threat to fundamental education, while others view it as a natural adaptation to the information age. But what is it really? It's the ability to quickly switch between fragments of information, grasping the main points and discarding the secondary. Our children no longer read, they scan text. They don't watch, they browse. They don't listen, they selectively perceive. Psychologist Larry Rosen calls modern teenagers the me generation, capable of simultaneously doing homework, chatting with friends, and listening to music. Multitasking is both their superpower and their curse. Neurobiological studies show that constant task switching causes the brain to produce cortisol, the stress hormone. Clip thinking helps filter informational noise but hinders deep immersion in a topic. Stanford University professor Clifford Nass found that avid multitaskers have worse concentration and recall. They constantly seek new stimuli, and this becomes an addiction. However, it would be a mistake to demonize clip thinking. In a world where the volume of information doubles every 2 years, the ability to quickly navigate the information flow becomes a valuable skill. The problem is not with clip thinking itself, but with the lack of balance. Educator Mark Prensky proposes the concept of digital wisdom, a combination of rapid information processing with the ability to analyze deeply. Microlearning can become a bridge between fragmented perception and systemic thinking. Short formats attract attention, and a well-structured system of microlessons forms a holistic worldview. The school of the future is already here. Educational institutions around the world are experimenting with hybrid models, where classic lessons coexist with micro-formats. The Swedish gymnasium Vitra has divided the school day into 2 blocks. Morning hours are dedicated to traditional classes, and after lunch, students immerse themselves in microlearning through a special application. The results are impressive. Academic performance has increased by 23%, and student engagement has reached record levels. The American school network Alt-Ed has introduced a system of micro-modules, 5-minute video lessons that children watch before traditional classes. This creates the effect of preliminary familiarity with the material, and in class, the teacher can immediately move on to practice and discussion. The Russian project School of the Digital Age uses microlearning as a tool for reinforcing material. After each lesson, students receive 3 short videos to review key concepts. How to measure the effectiveness of such approaches? Researchers from Stanford University have developed an assessment methodology that includes not only knowledge testing, but also an analysis of engagement, long-term retention of information, and the ability to apply acquired skills. It turned out that the optimal ratio is 70% traditional learning and 30% microformats. With such a balance, the brain gets enough time for deep immersion in the material, but also benefits from spaced repetition and multimodal perception. The future of education is not in opposing formats, but in their smart combination. Creating quality micro-content begins with proper planning. The first step is a clear definition of the learning objective. What exactly should a person learn in 30 seconds or 3 minutes? The formulation must be extremely specific. Not talk about photosynthesis, but explain how plants convert sunlight into energy. The second step is choosing the format. Animated graphics are ideal for explaining processes, screencasts for demonstrating digital skills, and a talking head with a charismatic instructor for conveying emotionally charged concepts. The key principle is that one micro-lesson should contain only one main idea. It is better to divide a complex topic into a series of interconnected micro-lessons than to try to cram everything into one video. When creating a script, use the structure hook, problem, solution, application, call to action. Pay special attention to the first 7 seconds. They determine whether the viewer will stay with you. Technical aspects are no less important. Quality sound is more important than a perfect image. Modern smartphones are quite suitable for shooting, but an external microphone is a mandatory investment. Even free applications like CapCut or InShot are suitable for editing. Testing content before publication is a golden rule. Show your micro-lesson to several representatives of the target audience and ask 3 questions. Is the main idea clear? What was most interesting? What remained unclear? Make adjustments based on the feedback. Behind the glitter of microlearning lies a shadow of problems rarely discussed. The first and most obvious is oversimplification to the point of primitivism. In attempting to cram a complex concept into 30 seconds, we inevitably sacrifice nuance and depth. Quantum mechanics, or Kant's philosophy, in TikTok format, become a caricature of true knowledge. An illusion of understanding arises. A person thinks they've grasped the topic, when in reality, they've only gained a superficial overview. Fragmentation is the second serious problem. Microlessons are like individual puzzle pieces, but often the overall picture is missing. The learner receives disparate facts without understanding the connections between them, which hinders the formation of systemic thinking. Information overload is paradoxically amplified by microlearning. Short formats create a false sense that more content can be consumed. As a result, the brain is overloaded with dozens of microlessons without having time to process and integrate the information. The effect of microlearning is often short-term. Without regular repetition and practical application, knowledge gained from short videos quickly evaporates from memory. There are areas of knowledge that are fundamentally not amenable to micro-formats. It's impossible to learn to play the violin or master higher mathematics through 30-second videos. Some skills require prolonged practice and deep immersion. Finally, microlearning can foster an addiction to constant stimulation. The brain becomes accustomed to rapid information rewards and loses the ability for prolonged concentration, which is necessary for solving complex problems. Imagine the future of education, where every student receives knowledge perfectly tailored to their needs. Artificial intelligence analyzes your learning style, identifies gaps, and adapts content in real time. This is not science fiction, but the reality of personalized microlearning. Modern adaptive platforms use complex algorithms that track every interaction a student has with the content. The Duolingo platform analyzes thousands of parameters: response speed, typical mistakes, the time of day when you are most productive. Based on this data, the system creates a unique educational trajectory where each microlesson becomes a step to the next. The educational service Cerigo uses neural networks to determine the optimal moment for repeating material, based on Ebbinghaus's forgetting curve. If the system sees that you quickly grasp mathematical concepts but work slower with visual data, it automatically adjusts the format of information delivery. Khan Academy has implemented emotion recognition technology, analyzing micro-expressions on your face via webcam. Noticing signs of confusion or boredom, the system instantly changes its approach. Personalization also affects the content of microlessons. If you are passionate about football, physics examples will be related to sports mechanics. If you love cooking, to food preparation processes. This creates an emotional connection with the material, enhancing memorization. The future of personalized microlearning lies in predictive analytics. Systems will be able to not just react to a student's actions, but also anticipate their needs, creating truly proactive education. In a world where tradition clashes with innovation, finding the right balance is a true art. For educators, the micro-injection method, integrating short educational blocks into the regular lesson structure, becomes a key strategy. Start with 5-minute TikTok warm-ups before the main topic, or conclude the lesson with a 3-minute micro-lesson for reinforcement. The flipped classroom principle works effectively. Students familiarize themselves with theory through short videos at home, and practical application and discussion take place in class. Parents should create an educational ecosystem at home, where traditional book reading is combined with micro-learning. Set clear time limits for digital content. No more than 30 minutes of micro-learning in one sitting, followed by a break for physical activity or practical application. Monitoring the effectiveness of blended learning requires new metrics. Instead of traditional tests, use project assignments where students must synthesize knowledge from various sources. Track not only information assimilation, but also the development of meta skills, the ability for self-learning, critical thinking, and the skill to find and filter information. Digital learning diaries, where students record their insights from different educational formats, help to see a holistic picture of educational progress. Remember, technology is not the goal, but a tool. Even the most engaging TikTok video cannot replace live dialogue and deep reflection. The ideal education of the future is not a choice between tradition and innovation, but their harmonious synthesis. Looking beyond the horizon of microlearning, we see an educational landscape that will continue to transform at an incredible pace. Virtual reality is already knocking on classroom doors, not just as a technological toy, but as a full-fledged educational environment. Students will not read about ancient Rome, but walk its streets. They will not study cell structure from pictures, but immerse themselves within it. Immersive experiences will create an emotional connection with the material that no textbook can provide. Gamification will become not just a buzzword, but a fundamental principle of education. The learning process will turn into an exciting adventure with levels, achievements, and instant feedback. However, technology is merely a tool, not an end in itself. A key trend will be social learning, collaborative problem-solving, collective projects, mutual teaching. Even in the digital age, human connections remain critically important for deep understanding. The education of the future will maintain a balance between technological innovations and timeless values, critical thinking, creativity, empathy. These skills cannot be packaged into a 30-second video, but they are precisely what will determine success in a world of constant change. Microlearning is not the end point of evolution, but a transitional stage towards deeper, more personalized, and holistic educational ecosystems.